So NBD funnel performance report. So that's the exciting one. I'm really excited about this report. So this is that what an MBD should be using as well as a sales report on a daily basis. So I've created this report myself like 6 months back. The reason why I decided to create this report, what we've seen as an MBD team, right? We've got quite a lot of processes to manage, and at the same time, we didn't have a place that could give us like a really good overview of, how much business an MBD has won over the years. And on top of that, we didn't have a view, like in the sales pipeline report, on how us as MBDs are doing. So we have it split by BU, but we don't have it by new business and new logo. So we just had it like, we had to go into sales pipeline report and filter by deals. So we never had like a specific view on that. So I have, we had a conversation internally. We're like, actually, to just make sure we improve, like a process adoption across the team, and to make sure processes are started at the right time and completed at the right time, as well as making sure our forecast accuracy is correct. Let's just create a report that is specific to MBD, where they will basically gain most of the benefit, as well as making it easier for the management team, your RSD, myself, Tim Smith, and everyone else involved in the MBD team to manage this, right? So we've created what we call the MBD funnel performance report. Can you guys see my screen still? Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So the outcome of this report is to ensure that EMS wins more new FOP and new logo deals by improving a win rate and ensure that best practices followed by EMS and MBD team globally. Now, we created this report to help MBDs, RSDs, VP of Sales Marketing, and Sales Ops Manager to gain a clear view on where we are versus target by geo as an MBD team. So not existing FOP, just new FOP and new logos. Understand how each member of the new business team is performing over time, and then to ensure that each new business processes are initiated and completed at the right time. When I say new business processes, I mean what we just covered in the last couple of hours.
Have you got a copy of this report, Gaia?
I'm going to share it right now, and then if you love it, I can schedule it to be in your inbox every day as well.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it. Does it have historic data in it?
Yes, we can have a look at your name if you like.
Yeah, why not? I don't think I've seen it.
No, so it is, we still, because it's just been created with coronavirus and priorities and things like that, we still need to share it with Tim. But it's been approved by, Laura and Louis. They already love it. So I'm going to start sharing it with everyone else now. But, I'm sure Tim will approve it. So that's basically, it's got a similar look and feel of the sales pipeline report. So you can see FY20 actual versus target. You can see the EMS MBD performance breakdown. You can see open pipeline, so new logo and new FOP deals. So again, here you can look at your deals. You can see MBD processes, and within here we can talk about sales hygiene. And then key accounts, acquiring allocation. This is a tab that only Laura Jeffrey uses, so I'm not going to touch into that. But if we review the first tab, so here again, as you can see, similar looking at the sales report, we've got the geo, so we've got APAC, EMEA, and NALA, and we've got the target by quarter, but this is the target for the region. So Matt, you will be working under EMEA, right? So you will come on these numbers. So the EMEA target for Q3 as an MBD team that we need to close is 1.2 million. For APAC is 1 million, and for NALA is 600K. Okay, so here you can say how we did against Q2. Okay, so now these numbers are very high, but because they were set at the beginning of the financial year in October, and we had a couple of changes, so we didn't have the required number of MBDs to hit this target. So that's the reason why they look quite low. And now we're scaling up.
Gaia, these values in here, just for clarity for the rest of the guys, these are first quarter values only, correct?
That's first quarter value only. Yes,
yeah.
Correct.
So you could easily close a deal for $1 million, right? But this report would only recognize 250,000 of that.
Yes, so that will look at the quarter, because at that point, Sam, is not going to be, the account manager still need to rewind stuff, or at least, if the campaign goes wrong, it's the account manager responsibility to make sure it's safe and we don't lose the client, right? So they stays as new FOP and new logos only for the first quarter.
Yeah, so I think it's really important just to digest that point, guys, that when you look at your target isn't the total contract value that you secure in quarter, it's that first quarter values only. Now, you have a vested interest in obviously selling an annual contract for a 12-month program because you'll get paid on it for 12 months. So you get commissioned, but it doesn't sit against your target. So if you look at your target being 300K for a quarter, now that could be done in one campaign. You sell a 1.2 million pound campaign, then you hit your 300K. Right? But it doesn't mean you hit your 1.2 million objective for the year because you're only recognizing that first quarter's value. Winning an intent to engage isn't the same for us as a business as incurring that revenue. So we could lose it after 6 months, right? The client could change their minds. We could reshape it. We could change the geography. They might go bankrupt, right? Who knows? Yeah. So that's why we don't measure it in that way. So you're only looking at those first quarter values. Also, I wouldn't read much into the report here in terms of, Gaia touched on those targets are set at the start of the financial year for new business. The reality is we haven't had a bum in a seat in Nala, right, for 6 months. So the fact that they're even 11 and 4% of their target is a bloody miracle, seeing as nobody's been doing the job.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, like we're trying now to scale up the business. So what we're going to try to do in the next 6 months is put the number of NBDs in place that we need in order to hit that target. But obviously, once we do review, the targets cannot change, unfortunately. But once we do review, whoever is judging this target, for example, Tim as a CEO, he will bear in mind that as a new business team, we didn't have any resources, so it's impossible to hit that target basically. So nothing is going to happen. Obviously, if we had 10 NBDs in place and we achieved 4%, that was going to be a different question.
So Guy, just help me out for a second, or maybe Shane, Matt, you can. Where are you selling and what are you selling?
What, within the NBD? Yeah, so it depends, right? So you can sell as an NBD.
No, not for you, Gaia. Sorry, let me be very specific on it. What are Matt and Shane selling and where are they selling?
Okay. Yes, a good question. So Shane is going to, he is recruited as a key account manager for Tom Feder. So he's going to be working closely with Tom Feder as an account manager as soon as the business unit is up and running and they've got more campaigns to run. But for now, Shane will be I think Tom said the first 6 months, Shane, correct me if I'm wrong, he will be covering an NBD role to grow that business unit.
Yeah, it's a dual role, and I think that the focus is to cover the BOU Bournemouth Unit 2. It's mainly a dual between NBD and account manager. You mentioned.
So manage what you sell, yeah?
Basically, yeah.
Basically, yeah. Okay. And then Matt will be working closely with.
Sorry, because I just need this context so I can help you both best, right?
Absolutely.
Shane, are you then going to sell a whole product portfolio, so everything end to end from digital to inside sales?
I would imagine so. Yeah, I mean the whole initial conversation was just purely account management, but then as Grant gave me the position, he said it would be dual. So I'm guessing that a lot of it will be, starting from the front end of the process as well.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So design, sell, manage. Okay. Cool. No problems. I think I'll probably take responsibility for part of your AM training as well. So we'll spend some time together, buddy. I'll bring you up to speed on that. Matt, what are you selling, and where?
I think our conversation with Louis and Tim later this afternoon will give me a bit more information, but I think I'm selling end-to-end in EMEA.
Yep.
Yeah, so Sam, just to give you a bit of context here, Louis will be sharing tomorrow the org chart and how this new structure is going to look like. They signed off with Tim. So you'll get more information around that tomorrow. But yeah, he's basically going to be an MBD for EMEA. So he's going to be working probably closely with Dave Cruz, as far as I know so far.
Okay. Good to know. Matt, I'll probably be supporting you in a number of deals as well, as you cut your teeth. So yeah, here to help you both. Shane, I'll probably end up spending more time with you as you win campaigns to help you be ready to manage them effectively, set them up, that other side of process. You've got a 2-week boot camp here for new business. Yeah, you've got about 12 weeks with me. Okay,
cool, guys. So let's go for the next tab. So Sam Ferry wanted to see all data. So obviously, like we said, it was an account manager MBD for a long time. So in this report, you have the last 3 years of the impact from the 2017 financial year. So here you can see basically by MBD. So you'll be able, once you're going to have deals under your name, the active deal value, the weighted deal value, one value, number of deals in the funnel, number of active deals, number of won deals, number of lost deals, and win rate. Okay, so here is already, there are existing FOPs as well. If you can look at it, but it's filtered by new FOP and new logo because it's an MBD report. Yes, and then you can filter by financial year. So for example, let's have a look how much Sam Ferry won up to 2019 and far with it. Yeah, and then we can, you see, we can.
Nothing last year, eh? What's that? Oh, I must have not been here.
Yeah, you must have not been here. No, but hold on. I think I know what's happening here. I think you were not on the BDM field of these deals. You were more an account manager, Sam. So this report is pulling the BDM field that is in the campaign tracking.
Oh, I was expecting to celebrate, I think 2018-19 for us, our fiscal. I did 5.4 million.
Yeah, I'm sure you've got, we open market only, you probably have quite a lot. But I think you guys need to make sure basically that you are under the BDM field, because if I pull account managers, then the data will show really wrong. So, you know, as long as you're in the BDM field and no one has really been updating correctly, that's basically the official MBD field. So if we look at someone like Davao, who is he's now moved to APAC, but he was an MBD in EMEA, I can see that Davao had 1.4 million in pipeline. He's currently got weighted pipeline of 518K. He has 37 deals, number of won 12, number of lost 23. So he's won 34%. So a good win rate would be between, Sam, would you say 30%, 35% is a good win rate?
Yeah, so guys, I would expect you to probably start at around a 1 in 4 ratio. Right? Again, going back to my first point about making that decision on the deals you take forward. It's natural when you haven't got a pipeline to accept everything, but that will come and bite you in the arse eventually, right? If you're not there working deals that we should be winning. So starting at about 1 in 4, 25%. And then eventually getting somewhere about 1 in 3, so 33%. And I think sort of best in class that we've had when you've got full data, accurate data. There's some there that are a bit rogue because they've just done one new business deal that was actually within an existing account for them. But about 40% is best in class.
Yeah, and as you can see, you can see the new data in here, Sam. You see, for 2020. So currently you won 3 deals, you only lost 1, and you're at 75% win rate, which is great.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Which is very, very good, actually, I must say. Okay, good. So that's the tab you will be referring to once you want to see like how you're performing as an MBD, or anyone else wants to see how you're performing as an MBD. Then we've got this tab. So this again is very similar to the one in the sales report, right? But this tab is really, really important because basically we just look at new FOP and new logo deals. So you can just look at this tab, right, instead of looking in the sales report, because it's exactly the same. So here you've got the name of the RSD that is working on a particular deal. If it's red, it's either because an account manager is working on it and it doesn't need an RSD. It could be like Natalie Robert. She's an account manager. She's managing Adobe already, and she's trying to win this new FOP. She doesn't need an RSD supporting her because she's already very confident on winning this deal because she's got all the knowledge within Adobe, right? But then you've got these deals here. You see, you've got Louis Gibson. He's the RSD, and then all of the basically deals information. So you've got the MBD, the account name, the FOP name, the revenue source, revenue type, campaign name, sales instinct, exactly the same as the sales report. But what we've got in here is really, really important. This basically fields that we've created to manage the deal sub card effectively, right? So basically, let's take an example. I'm going to pick Sam now because I love Sam. Then if I search for Sam Ferry, right? So I can see here, the Sam Ferry's got a deal in the funnel for 3D system, okay, for channel inside sales. It's a new FOB, it's a stranger. This is the campaign name, and it's currently at 30%. Now, this is at 30%, so it's still in theory, this is still at discovery. However, it's added the sales stage to be diagnostic. Now, what we can see here is that the discovery subcard, do you remember the subcard in discovery needs to be at least, it needs to score at least 17 in order to move into the next stage. Now, this is telling us the deal is in diagnostic, but it's completed the first step, discovery, and the discovery is scoring higher than 17. 0 on diagnose because he's probably not even started diagnose yet, but he can move into diagnose because the discovery stage is scoring high enough for us to be able to move into the next stage. Now, straight away, I've got a red flag here. The manager score is missing, right? So the manager score, why is the manager score missing, Sam?
I don't report into anyone.
Okay, so I think either is a BUD or either it's going to be perhaps Louis, but someone will need to score that deal stop card because he's like, that's how it works, right, Sam? So you've got like,
absolutely, yeah.
If it was generated by LS, then you're working closely with LS, then you will be scoring his sub card, right? But ideally, what we want to make sure is that these two numbers are similar and they're both in green before we move into the next stage. Now, the next step will be diagnostic. Right now, it's still in the diagnostic, so it's at 0, and it's not flagging because it's fine. Like the NBD still got time to qualify that, and it's fine for it to be at 0. However, if the sales stage was design and the diagnose was at 0, then that would have flagged in red, saying, okay, but why have you moved into the sign stage if you haven't even completed diagnose?
Yeah.
Make sense? So I want to find an example of that, right? You see, I give you an example with Tanium. I just want to make sure that you guys really, really understand, because this is really important to manage your deals and to make sure you are successful. So I can tell you, right, Louis Gibson has you see, Tim Smith that's Louis Gibson's deal, for example, right? But Louis Gibson has done Tanium. So Tanium was scored 20 and a 19 and discovery, which is great, right? It should score at least 17. Now, he's moving to design, right? And design is scoring at 10, which is fine for now because he's still in design. However, why did diagnose only score 19? Now, diagnose, in order to do it successfully, to say, I've done successfully the diagnose phase, I should have at least a score of 21, right? So he's moved into design with a score of 19. And this deal was meant to close last quarter, and for obvious reason, it's still not closed, right? I'm not saying this is the reason why, right? But this is a way to check as, why, or, why did we move so far into the deal if we didn't get a good enough understanding in the diagnose phase first, right? And that's one question that Tim can ask Louis and say, okay, but, show me the deal stop card and show me the diagnose phase and show me why it's not being completed correctly or it's not scoring high enough. And what are the information that we still need to go and get to score this number higher and to make sure that we win this deal? Make sense?
Yep, that makes total sense.
Yep.
Yeah? Sam, you clear as well?
Yeah, all good with me.
Cool. And then you've got the link over here. Perfect. So that's the third tab. And then the fourth tab, which is the most important tab for me as I'm managing all these processes. Here you've basically got a way to help yourself. So instead of, being chased by me saying, Matt, you've got a deal in the funnel at 70%. However, the NBD to handover is not being started yet. Why is that? Right? So instead of me chasing you to do that, and Sam, you're going to love this tab, I think. is that you've got a tab that tells you all the NBD processes. So you've got deal subcard, we've covered today, NBD to M handover. DC web leads, we didn't cover today, but this is just the process that we need to start when we sell digital leads. Then you've got account development plan and MSA and SW, all processes that we've covered today. Now I can see that Davao is, it's got errors everywhere. And I can see that, let's have a look at Mr. Ferry as an example, right? Mr. Ferry is so wide, good. You see, Mr. Ferry's got a deal in the funnel and everything looks great. There isn't anything outstanding that needs to be updated. But basically, in terms of update required that you need to be looking out for is under the deal subcard, you want to make sure that every deal has got a deal subcard in the system. If it doesn't, it will flag up in here. Every deal has got a self score, and every deal has got a manager score. If it doesn't, will be flagged in here. Deal SOP is not aligned to the sales stage. Again, this goes back in here. So if this is scoring 20 and is moved into design, then it will flag up why it is scoring a 20. And then finally, the deal subcard is overdue. So this will flag if a deal subcard has not been updated for 15 or more days. So typically, if you're working on 10 deals in a quarter, you should be updating these deals weekly, if not bi-weekly. But minimum should be done weekly, right? You always book a next action call with the prospect weekly, right? And also, we should be updating the deal subcard to reflect that in the next action section. But yeah, the good news is if you've got a way to track it. So if you want to see what's missing, you will be able to see it in this report. So ideally, what the ideal scenario is what you can see on Sam right now. In fact, there is a red one here. But basically, ideally, you want to see everything that says basically 0. That basically you don't have any errors. Now your name is spelled wrong in this system, Sam, so you're appearing twice in here.
Yeah, no, it's when it comes under AM, I'm Samuel and all formal and professional, and then when it's new business, I'm just casual Sam.
Love it. I'll get that changed for you. I think.
Yeah. Sam for both will do me fine, however you want to say it.
Okay, I'll change it to Sam. Cool. And then we've got the NBD to handover. So this will flag if there are any deals at the sign stage where I'm missing an NBD to handover process. This will flag if there are any DC leads. And again, you're going to do proper training on these guys with Louis. Any DC leads missing a web leads process. And then you've got account development plan. Do you remember you create an account development plan when the deal, a new log is at 70%? Or you update the existing account plan if you've got a new FOP at 40%. And finally, this will flag up if you've got any deals at 70% plus the design stage where it's missing an MSA SOW process. Cool. So last thing, in fact, have you guys got any questions on that first?
Nope, it's all good.
Yeah?
Yeah, all good.
All clear, yeah? Okay, cool. So what will be your next question after looking at this table? And that's question open for everyone. As an NBD, so that's your daily job. You go into this report and you see that your name is all red. What's your next question?
Sorry, can you repeat that last bit?
So let's say that you're Dhaval Patel right now.
Mm-hmm.
And today you go into this report and you can see that your line is all red. What is your next question?
Identify the deals that are delayed or missing and figure out why and figure out what you need to do to actually progress them.
I like that. So what is the action that me as an NBD I need to take to fix this red? Basically, right? Now, to do that, basically, all you need to do is just click anywhere under your name, right? Even if you click in here, it's fine. So you double click and you're going to see the raw data that will open up for your name, okay? So you've got the FOP name, you've got the EMSO2 ID, the campaign name, and everything else, right? So what you want to do now is, these are all your active deals. And here you've got all the errors that are flagging. So in this case, you've got what are the deals that are not aligned to the sales stage, right? So let's start with that actually. Davao has got 2 deals, SAP and PGI, that are currently missing a deal subcard. Okay, so he knows that the action he needs to take is to go into the deal stop card and start a deal stop card for these two campaigns. Second thing is deals not aligned to the sales stage. Okay, so he knows that this Juniper CPL 20Q2 is not aligned to the sales stage, so he needs to go and fix that. Then he's got, obviously, these two are flagging up because the deal stop card is missing. So once he started the deal stop and you update the self score and manager score, the error will go away from here. And then you can see he's got deal stop card overdue. You see, all of these are overdue, meaning they've not been updated for the last 15 days. So you've got the date, and obviously you've got the link, and you don't have a link here because there isn't one. So it's flagging up as an error. And then, last but not least, in fact, it's not even last, it's got lots of errors, this NBD, which is not good. 70% deal, don't take example from him, but 70% deal missing an NBD to handover. So again, he knows that he needs to go back to this campaign here and go and start an NBD to handover. And then you see he's got one deal that is missing a web list process. And he's got a new logo deal missing an account plan. He's got one deal where it's an existing FOP and it's actually missing the FOP name in the existing account plan. And then he's got, look how many deals, he's got 3 deals where he's got an MSA and an SOW missing. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, just to be clear, Guy, here we're looking at Dave, right?
Say that again.
Are we looking at Dave?
We're looking at the vow.
Oh, we're looking at Deval. Okay.
Dave is clear. Dave is really good with his admin. You see, it's got 0 everywhere. The vow, Mikhail, not so good. So yeah, we're looking at the vow. So the action for a manager like Louis in this case will be, once he does the deal review or a weekly call with the NBD, would be to review this report and ask why have we got all this error? Ideally what you want to do is, before you have a weekly call with your RSD, is run the day before this report and make sure that it's all up to date, because they will open up this report and question you if there are lots of errors, basically. Yeah.
So guys, I think this is really valuable for you to see, because it shows that we're not watertight. Right, that these things do happen, but we have the visibility. So I go back to what we're saying about a process and why we have a process in place. It's so that we can capture these sort of things. Management information is absolutely pointless unless you can take action on it. So this management information and insight and visibility that we have gives a very clear set of actions that we can go and take. Right, we know there's a deal stop missing. And then we can cross-reference this to other elements in the reports, such as the win rate. And we can go, okay, Deval, look, you know what? There's no surprise that Dave's win rate is 50 and yours is 20, because Dave follows the process and you're sat there with 50% of yours not having things in place. Right? And then I know, and I don't mean to throw Deval under the bus or under the opportunity wagon, but if you go back to his deals, Gaia, so PGI, right? PGI, EM, CPL, the deal that's at the bottom there, at 90% in the funnel, that was forecast for me to come in at the 31st of March. Now, the actions that I've taken as a result of that are planning the account manager, training them up ready to take it, going through and signing off the AM to NBD handover plan, looking at the account plan, briefing the digital side of our business, looking at the creatives, getting the publishers ready to take action on it. And he hasn't won it, right? And here we are 7 days later, and he hasn't won it, right? And I'm not surprised, because if I then look at this deal and look at what's missing from it, there's bits missing all over the place.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not to criticize, Deval. Sometimes you need salespeople. I don't know what your experience is in terms of working in large sales organizations. Sometimes you do need a lone wolf, right? Sometimes you need a little bit of a maverick guy. Who's going to have that capability to go out and close high value deals for you. But there's a process that exists for us to highlight this, right? And then to look at the trends or patterns that arise from this data. You'll get exposed by it. Right? My takeaway from here is look at the level of visibility that we have. for the first 6 months, use it as visibility and as a coaching tool to help you. After 6 months, you shouldn't be finding yourselves in this situation. Right? So expect the message to be slightly different. And particularly, don't expect to have anybody patting you on the back to say, unlucky, you almost won that deal, if you then haven't followed this process and you lose it. Right? Because we'll be able to sit back and say to you, well, I'm not surprised you lost it. Because
sorry.
Go ahead.
What are some of the common reasons that people skip? Is it just that lone wolf kind of mentality?
Part of it's mentality, part of it's time, right? People think that they know the deal better than they do know the deal, so they prioritize just working through and getting it to there, and then they haven't followed the process and they expose themselves. I myself have fallen into this trap. Right? When you've just closed £1 million deal and you're working a 50k deal, you're like, fuck it, I've got it. Right? It's coming, it's in the bag, it's easy. And then I haven't followed this process and done the due diligence, and I haven't planned the time to ask my questions, and I've lost it. Right? And I'm like, Jesus, that's embarrassing. How have I just closed $1 million and just lost 50? And then I reflect on it afterwards and recognize it's because I didn't give the same sort of professional courtesy to the opportunity and follow this process. It is as simple as that. It depends what type of salesperson you are. Right? Are you a natural born kiss the Blarney Stone in Ireland, can talk, gift of the gab salesperson? Right? Or are you process, methodical? I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn it as a science and I'll win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's so true, Sam. And one thing I want to say as well, guys, from a process point of view, I just want to make sure I'm going to make this really clear now. So what people tend to do as well, every now and then, they tend to change their campaign names in EMS2. So they create them in EMS2, and let's say that they don't win like PGI, the deal on the same quarter, and they will go into the deal into the MS2 and change the quarter, right? So the implication of changing the campaign name that was initially created is that that's not going to link in any process. So Sav, I can tell you straight away that I have a gut feeling that there was a deal stop card somewhere. I'm not sure if it was updated or not, but I'm sure PGI had it at the time because it's my job to make sure that all deals have a deal stop card. But my gut feeling here is that it's just gone in and changed the quarter, changed the name of it, and then all the processes are not linked. So nothing is linked, right? You change the campaign name. The campaign name, this is like, this report pulls together 5 different or 6 different processes, and the campaign name is my unique identifier to make sure it shows in that table. If you change one information, nothing else will show up at all, right? So if I change that to Q1, anything that was linked to the deal stop cards and the NBD to amend over and everything else on the Q1 will be lost. So it's really, really important. Make sure when you start, create a campaign name, do not change it. FOP name, do not change it unless you check with your manager first. And, so please check with me as well.
So I think, Guy, you make a good point. And I do want to just touch on this for the wider benefit, is that these processes are, some of them relatively new. Like we talk about Kaizen, we talk about KNI, continuous and never-ending improvement. How do you test a hypothesis? To test a hypothesis, you experiment, right? And the only way we can experiment is through end-user feedback. So Gaia, Sam Hardy, these process black belts, they design these processes, and then it's the you and I's of these world that stress test them and go, actually, it's fucking me off, or actually, it works really well. And then if I change this deal stop name or deal name, then the rest of the things doesn't pull through. As a salesperson, I don't want to have to change another 6 processes because I've changed the deal name. But that feedback loop is important. Right? So give that feedback to Gaia, to Sam Hardy, to myself, to Louis, whomever, and we will change and improve these so that they all become interlinked with one another. We get the visibility that we need whilst we don't create admin for admin's sake. Right? So there is that fine balance. Process is key. But if you've got a recommendation to improve it, don't just bitch about it. Let's have a recommendation to be like, this is how I would improve it and centralize it. Yeah.
And that's why I was saying earlier on, guys, I'll collect feedback on the deal stop card and any of the processes quarterly. And when I say feedback, I'm actually meaning like a video feedback where I can see people's faces when, like when they're actually talking about it, right? Like, tell me what's worked for you and tell me what didn't. And then what we do, we collect everything that didn't and then understand what can we do to Kaizen this, to improve this, and to make everyone's life much easier. So for example, guys, let me just give you an example, because I like to just bring examples on the table. I don't like to just tell you things. I like to show and tell. So if I look at the deal stop card, right? And I know because I've done this change like a couple of days ago, right? So you can see that Kettle Limited, you can see the next action table here that we've created, okay? Now, if I look at last week, look at the next action table. That's how it was before, right? So before, the user, if I go inside it, I just want to show you, because I'm telling you that basically that's how basically you can you can see that what Sam just said is really happening. What you can see from the two different emails is that this is a table that was copied and pasted before by the user. So each time you have to go copy, paste, and then add the relevant information. Now we made it into a really nice, simple table that you just need to add the information and complete, right? The reason I've done that is because I've seen lots of feedback of people saying, oh, we always need to copy and paste. The size is not always the same. I don't have a way to track the actions really well and things like that. And what we decided to do is actually, let's make it easier for everyone and let's create a simple table where everyone can just add one thing at a time. Make sense?
Yeah, much more simpler.
Yeah, you see, it's just much nicer, right, as well, to look at from one to the other one. And then that's just, you see, look how big it was from this to like, look how nice that looks, right? They've got all actions already in a really nice table. And as a manager, the manager can see anything that's been completed, anything that is late, and understand why that is, really. So yeah, just wanted to actually show it to you. But yeah, really good point, Sam. Guys, I will be working with you, to make sure I will flag this to you. If I see that someone like Mikael is in real trouble, he's got 13 deal stop cards overdue, I will send you a quick email first. So I'm not going to escalate that to the RSDs, but my job really is to make sure that we win deals, to make sure that the NBD team is successful globally. And in order to do so, I will look at this table, as well as you looking at this table, and your manager will look at this table to make sure, we're all up to date from a process point of view. Cool. So yes, Sam, to answer your question, I will schedule this report. I'm going to schedule it for you guys as well to receive daily in your inbox. It's called NBD Funnel Performance Report.
Yeah, good. No, I'd like to see it. Yeah.
Good. Cool. Any other questions before I move on into the last bit of this training?
Not from me, Gaia.
All good so far?
Yeah, all good.
Good. Okay, cool.